Hey, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you, everybody, for joining us out in online broadcast land. Thank you for folks here in the studio. And thank you, Mike Love, for being with us today.
Thank you.
It's getting cold outside.
It's nice that you have light and love.
Light and love.
Shed a little
like
love
that.
and that'll spread a lot of light.
We're going to have to get
It's going to make love, not war on my album.
Get the tour together, get the billing together.
Absolutely.
It's getting cold outside, but it's always endless summer when we're talking about the Beach Boys. So.
Yes. And that was a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna start there, but having just looked at that video, tell me, what do you see when you're looking?
July 4th. That was in a hotel room, cut it with other, things from different incarnations of my outfits, and. It was so much fun because, Mark McGrath brings so much energy, and John Stamos choreographed the whole thing. He's been a great friend and exponent,
you
proponent.
guys for years and years.
Oh yeah, since he was Blackie on General Hospital. Yeah.
What do you think when you see the old footage that's cut in there? When you see the different incarnations of Mike over the years, what do you think when you get a load of that?
I wish I still had some of those outfits so I could put them on eBay.
The sequin vest could maybe do some.
Jeff Foskett, one of the guys in our group that sings with us, I used to wear this gold-plated Miley leaf lei, and he called it the golden seaweed. But yeah, that was so much fun. Do it again. We did it on July 4th. It was on PBS, Capital 4th, but it was just awesome, that whole thing.
So there's lots going on.
Lots.
We're here, the release of Unleash the Love. The solo album came out on Friday,
yes.
But there's the paperback edition of Good Vibrations, of the memoir. There's this recent Sunshine Tomorrow, Beach Boys 50th anniversary of the 1967 recordings that's out. And
Wild Honey
album, and ongoing dates I see booked into next summer, so no slowing down. But let's start with the album. It's 36 years since there was a Mike Love solo album, I believe is the count. Why was it time?
I've been busy.
Well,
we've been doing mainly Beach Boys. I sing the lead on a lot of songs, right? And I co-authored a bunch of the Beach Boys hits with my cousin Brian and a couple without. But so, with the changes in the record industry and the music industry, I don't know, I just never felt it was time to release some of these songs. Some of these songs mean a lot to me, and they're like children in a sense, that they have their own personalities and their own subject matter, and like some things like Make Love Not War. That's a chant that went on in the 60s, and there's still stuff going on these days that are disgusting in the world. And so I was saying, make love not war. What in the world is all the fighting for? Give peace a chance. The earth could use an evolutionary advance. And Unleash the Love itself, the title song, is all about appreciating people for their differences. The thing about Mother Nature, she's got a place for every creature. The beauty of God's creation is diversity. For all of us, it's a lesson that our planet's prized possession is our differences. Yet I think it's time we all agree we got to unleash the love. So it's just, I've always been interested in different cultures, different philosophies, all the different languages and architecture and religions and all that. And since I learned to meditate in December of '67, Transcendental Meditation, which Maharishi taught us, and was invited to go to India, it opened a whole doorway to an incredible amount of knowledge that is, sort of gotten me thinking on a deeper level about life and about the people in this planet, the beings in the planet other than human beings. And so there's a song on the album called Only One Earth. And it's about treating the planet nicer and treating everybody on the planet nicer. And, being a lot more compassionate, a lot more caring. And it's not to take away anything from somebody who are the overachievers in life and stuff, but it's just, it says only one earth. It's a time for sharing, a time for caring. For what it's worth, there's only one earth.
So how long, these are songs that you've been stockpiling over years that have been accruing,
20
waiting for a project like
20,
this?
30 years.
As you change, when you go back to a song that's written 20 years ago, do you still key into the same things, the same ideas, or as you evolve, do the songs change also to reflect that?
I don't think the truth changes. It may be stated in different languages and different ways and stuff, but the truth is, like Buddha said, hate will never remove hate. Only love can remove hate. So you've got people like Buddha, Gandhi, Jesus, Martin Luther King, a lot of people, saints and philosophers over the centuries, over the millennia, saying the same thing: peace and love. And so it's time we put our attention on that and forget all the divisiveness and unleash the love.
So the aspiration in the writing is to attain those sorts of truths that are not
For me,
caught up in anything.
For me,
they're forever.
Right. For me, anything short of world peace is we failed as a human race.
It's the big
Yeah.
it's the big thing to swing for, right?
Because everybody has their own way of looking at things, and an own belief system or non-belief system, and that's okay. Everybody's entitled, but when you look at the state of the world, and I mean, there's so much love that needs to be unleashed. It's that's primarily what I'm thinking, and that's why we chose that title.
Was there, as you sort of made the decision to go ahead with this album and go with a new Mike Love record, was there one song, was there anything that was sort of a turning point or a stone that you built on? Was there something that kind of you said, okay, I see what we're doing here?
I honestly think the turning point was when BMG, the music and record company, just took interest in it, because I didn't want to just put a song out just to put it out. They're like children, songs are like children. You want them to have the best care possible. And so when BMG said, okay, we like your songs, we'd like to put them out, then we got busy on re-recording some of the stuff we'd done decades ago to modernize it just a little bit. So Michael Lloyd, the producer, took some of the stuff I'd done with my producer originally, Paul Farzo, who is a great guy, and we've gone back many years together doing music. So, in other words, we found a home with BMG, and they've done a fabulous job of promoting and distributing the album. And so you can stream it, download it, you can buy the CD, you can buy an LP. There are many different ways these days that you can appreciate music. So, and the beautiful thing about it is I'm on the album, I'm singing with two of my sons, Brian and Christian, who are in town, and we're going to do a listening party together, and we'll be singing together. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be in LA, and my daughter Amba and my other daughter Haley are going to be singing with me. So it's really a family affair, which is where the Beach Boys started, by the way.
But of course.
Christmas parties and birthday parties, it was all about music. Because our family in the prior generation didn't have any money, but what they had was music. And that they bonded over music. And the love of creating the harmonies together is what is the core essential ingredient of the Beach Boys.
And I know there's not an answer to this, but it's something that's always fascinating, is there is something in families singing harmonies together that is unlike anything else.
Yes.
That over the generations, as you point to, when there's family groups, I don't know if it's that they learn to talk from the same people or they learn to breathe together or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you can always point to that as a very special thing. What do you think that is?
I think in a family such as John Cowsill, the Cowsills, they inspired the Partridge Family, but John Cowsill is our drummer, great singer. His family was all about music. Our family, the Beach Boys, 3 cousins, Brian, Dennis, and Carl. I'm the first cousin, and Brian and I were just about a year apart. So we loved the same music. We harmonized together, and that was always, we were inspired by the Four Freshmen, which is this phenomenal group they started in the late 40s, and we heard them in the 50s, and we learned a few of their arrangements before we even started the Beach Boys. Things like Their Hearts Were Full of Spring, done a cappella, which we do to this day. And we have a fellow who's with us who's playing bass and singing high on Their Hearts Were Full of Spring. That was 18 years with a recent incarnation of the Four Freshmen. So the vocals are incredible. It's really wonderful. But it's there again, it's just all about the harmony and the resonance together. Because when you can sing a note, but you may not blend. With the Beach Boys, it's always finding that person who can not only sing the note, but harmonize. It's almost like you lose your individuality into the wholeness of the blend. That's always been an obsession of ours.
Clearly.
To create the best blend we could, whether it be rock or a ballad.
Talk for a minute about the book. Good Vibrations was a New York Times bestseller. The paperback is just out. Yeah. What was the journey for you to sit down and look back across all this time and this full life? What did you see or learn about yourself going through that?
Well, it was interesting because there are many things that happened during the course of a lifetime, and I had the excellent help of a fellow who was a best-selling writer, Jim Hirsch. He would do research, and he would say, well, what about this? And I said, no, it wasn't quite like that. I was there. This is how it happened. So I was reliving so many things that I just put out of my mind that were brought to my awareness by this process. But I did an audio recording of the book as well. It's paperback, but it's also in hardback, but also an audio recording. And I did that in my studio in Lake Tahoe, in my home there. Three days it took to do it. But it was nice that I could do it at home. But I got choked up in a couple of my sister Stephanie dying of cancer. My cousin, first cousin Carl, Brian and Dennis's brother, his last concert and in a wheelchair sucking on oxygen because he died from lung cancer, which metastasized to his brain. In February of '98, he passed away. And 3 years before, George Harrison passed away. So these are experiences, when your family and your loved ones, your parents, your grandparents, all those are real life serious experiences when you lose somebody you really love. So that was hard to speak out. I had to stop speaking out, because one thing to write it out, right. It's a whole other thing to speak it out. It's just more intimate.
Live through it again, sure.
Yeah.
Was there something that you went in, you said as you go through, there's a sense of, that's not really how that happened, or this or that. Was there something that you set out to, correct the record? Was there a notion of, there's a way that this story has not been told right?
Well, I've never told the story. There have been plenty of words written about the Beach Boys and the individuals involved and some of the chicanery and nonsense and complete fallacies and myths. So I thought it was time to speak from my heart and tell the story. It's good for my family, my children, to know something from their father who lived it. Because maybe I've been vilified by some people for whatever reason it is. There was a them and us kind of situation. There was those of the group who participated in lifestyle choices that were anything but healthy. And then there are those of us who didn't, tried to maintain some sort of a healthy lifestyle. And with the meditation, that helped me tremendously to adhere to the more positive and healthful pursuits. But the fact was that there were things that went on during the course of a career which were not pleasant at all. So to speak about things honestly, without being, vitriolic about it, or about just telling the truth as you lived it. That was, I think it's more of a thing where my kids and my family and serious fans of the Beach Boys can read it and see what a life, incredible life. More positive than negative, but there were challenging parts.
Not that long ago, I went back and watched, I was watching the Tammy show.
Yeah,
Maybe it was
met
after,
Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, well, maybe it was after
was
Chuck Berry
awesome.
passed that I got it back out and was watching.
And he was an icon, a huge, tremendous influence on me writing,
Watching that and watching that Beach Boys performance, do you have a sense that classic Beach Boys lineup was at all underrated, underappreciated as a live act? I feel like people talk about the recordings, they talk about the studio work, but seeing you guys, in that setting up against those other kind of folks, that was a band that could play on a stage. That was a serious drummer.
Yeah, we created our own music. We sang and played. It's not like we did it live to track or whatever. So it's the Beatles did the same thing. The Stones did the same thing. So we were in the forefront of rock groups. But before that was rock and roll stars, Elvis and Chuck Berry and Little Richard and Everly Brothers and all that. Great people. And we drew a lot of inspiration from many of those people. But we sang and played our own stuff. And I don't think we've been underrated though, because we played in Japan and Russia, all over we held the attendance record for Australia for a live concert. We've played in July 4th in the 80s to 1.5 million people in one day and gotten a standing ovation before we sang a note. So those are awesome experiences. And so we had fan letters from Russia and China and all over the place. We played in Czechoslovakia 6 months after the Russians invaded the country. They hated the Russians, and they loved us because we represented freedom, rock and roll America. So we haven't, but maybe everybody has their point of view and the kind of music they like, and every generation has their superstars, but I wouldn't say we're underrated.
And I have to ask,
although
yes.
I must say, on the Rolling Stone 500 albums of all time, the Beatles are #1 with Sgt. Pepper, and the Beach Boys are #2 with Pet Sounds. So
you can live with that.
Yeah. So other than demanding a recount, never mind.
And there's other polls, especially some of the British polls, where Pet Sounds comes out on top.
Good Vibrations went to #1 in Great Britain in 1966, and we were voted the #1 group in Great Britain, #2 Beatles, #4 the Stones. Right. So
the appreciation,
I don't call that underrated.
Yeah, was there. So.
That was not underrated.
So I need to ask, obviously we all woke up to the news this morning overnight of Charles Manson's death overnight, and I know you write about it in the book, and we've spoken about it. Much has been made of sort of the myth of the relationship between Manson and the Beach Boys.
It's not Manson and the Beach Boys. It's Manson and Dennis Wilson, my cousin, who picked up a couple of girls hitchhiking, and took him to his home. And then the next thing you knew, the girls invited their leader, Charles Manson, to live with Dennis. I only met the guy one time, and that was enough. Let's put it this way: I didn't send flowers.
And could you tell right away? I don't know
the
necessarily
term
if anybody knew everything, but what was happening.
Well, Dennis did tell me some things that he never spoke of to anybody else, other than one or two people, and it was not pleasant. It was not pleasant. So I don't prefer not to speak about it, but let's suffice it to say that his roommate Charlie was. There are many terms to be. It could be said about him, but it was interesting because we had learned meditation just a few months before from Maharishi, and then you have Charlie Manson. So it was the diabolical and the divine. Couldn't be a much more diverse kind of dynamic going on in the late 60s. A lot. Yeah, a bit too much in some cases.
And then last thing, and we'll go to questions from here, but I do just want to bring up, it's this 50th anniversary of Wild Honey.
Yes.
Not not the fame and fortune that Pet Sounds is maybe, but an album that Beach Boys fans love very much.
Well, it rocks somewhat more than Pet
Yeah,
Sounds
well,
in
it's got
certain
the
ways.
R&B, it's got the R&B thing
R&B
going, and you've
yes.
been featuring some of that in the shows right now. When you think of, I don't know, a 50th anniversary in 1967 and all of that, there were lots of things going on for the band at that time. But what comes straightest to mind? We
were recording in my cousin Brian's home. We had a studio set up in there. That's where we did Do It Again originally. I go to the kitchen in his house to make some tea, and I open the cupboard. I'm looking for something to sweeten the tea. There's this big jar of Wild Honey. I said, and they were working on a track in the studio. I said, that's an awesome title of a song about a guy who's got the hots for this girl who is just incredibly hot to him, and so I wrote it from that perspective. And originally I thought of it used to be Little Stevie Wonder, right? How would Stevie Wonder sing this thing? And Mama, I'm telling you, as sure as I'm standing here, she's my girl, and that's why I'm keeping it. Now, Mama dear, no good will it do you to stand there in front of me. This girl's got my love, and it's coming on down to me. This girl's got my love since I've got a taste of Wild Honey. Not rocket science, but what the heck.
McCartney had scrambled eggs. You've got Wild Honey. The inspirations come, where you find them. So.
Yeah, well, we had a song called Vegetables on one of our albums.
All right. I've had my time up here. Now we need to go to you guys. We've got the microphones over here, and we'll make its way around.
Mike, my question was going to be about the anniversary of Wild Honey, which I think is a great record. Also, the song "Darling" is a great song too, and the cover
do
of
it every
Stevie
night.
Wonder. The Stevie Wonder tune is great too that you do a cover of. So I wanted.
Carl Wilson sang "Darling" beautifully.
Yeah.
And Jeff Foskett does on our stage now. And Cowsill does Wild Honey. John Cowsill does an amazing job playing drums and singing it. He's a phenomenal singer. What was the question?
No, I mean, how does it feel 50 years later? I think it's a great album that's a little bit underrated. Everybody knows Pet Sounds, but not enough people maybe should know more about Wild Honey.
It's funny about albums and songs. People have different, songs they really gravitate towards. Individuals in the group they gravitate towards. Some people say John Lennon was the Beatles, and what, is Paul McCartney chopped liver? I don't think so. So the whole group is a group, and everybody has a different personality, and people are attracted to different personalities. And on albums, people are attracted to different songs. So we wanted to try something a little more R&B. We'd done Pet Sounds, we'd done the Smile and Smiley Smile, and let's do a little bit more of an R&B groove to this next album. Now, some of the songs are very ballady and very sweet and mellow, but Darlin' and Wild Honey are kind of, our way of expressing ourselves in that vernacular. So, and it was fun to do. And I wrote these songs with Brian, which is a good thing. The previous hit we had was Good Vibrations, which went to #1.
Follow that.
Yeah, it was really, so, But I don't look at it as, I think every album has its gems on it, And there's some of it are just not the same formula as we were known for in the early to mid 60s. In fact, when Brian and I went to deliver Pet Sounds to the record company, they didn't know what to do with it. It wasn't us. It was said that in my book, I clarify the fact that somebody said that in my book, I dealt with the fact that some people said that I purportedly said, who's going to listen to this shit? Well, I never said that, but it's the most famous saying that I never said. So I dealt with it in the book. How are you going to call Pet Sounds shit?
Many have wondered.
Crazy. That's crazy. No, it was orchestrated. It was beautiful. It was different and fantastic vocals. But other songs rock more, like Wild Honey.
Well, that's personally is my favorite one of yours. I love that
Really?
record, yeah.
We'll see. That's a favorite.
Yeah.
Everybody will have a
Darlin's
different.
my favorite song. So.
Pardon me? Darling?
Yeah. Love that song,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Well, I co-wrote that with
Yeah, I
Brian,
know,
so
I
you
know.
can blame me
So,
for the lyrics.
It's great stuff.
All right. Next up is over here.
after all your accomplishments, what is your biggest dream now? Maybe some big project you want to do or something else?
I have a song called Make Love Not War on this album. My biggest accomplishment is yet to come. That would be world peace.
You're
Why
doing
not?
it.
Why
Somebody's
not?
got to do it.
What's needed more than that? Nothing. Because, we're all inhabiting this earth together, and we're destroying the planet little by little, or lot by lot. And nature, I always had a feeling that Mother Nature has infinity and infinite time on his and her hands. So if you spent millions of years creating these beautiful animals and beautiful different races and everything, and then you just devastate them, destroy them, as you sow, so shall you reap. That's been said. So you're due for a whipping. Could be a hurricane, could be an earthquake, could be a tsunami, or it could be a volcano that'll send you back to the Ice Age. So I think you got to treat the earth and the people in it a lot better than we've been doing so far. I don't care what government's in existence. The truth is the truth. So what the world needs now is love, sweet love. But that title was taken. So we got this one here.
Can do one more here.
Hi. There were one or two songs that had some seemed like meditation chants that I heard. How much did your meditation influence some of your songwriting, and is that part of your pre-show ritual?
No, it influenced a lot of the more recent, the now section. There's the then and the now. Then was the songs we did with the Beach Boys. And most of those were before we learned to meditate, most of the hit songs. Learned meditation December of '67. And by the spring of '68, I was invited to go to India. And when I got to India, all the Beatles were there, and Donovan, and Mia Farrow, and Mia's sister Prudence, Dear Prudence on the Beatles album. And so since that time, it's taken my love for philosophy and religions and cultures and languages and all that kind of great stuff that's out all around the world. But that meditation has allowed a pathway, an opening to where you could really, it's a lot of knowledge and energy and clarity and expanded awareness that comes from practicing meditation. Transcendental meditation is the one I know of. And it has the potential to create phenomenal things, peace and prosperity and all this kind of thing, all the good values and that humanity has within them. But we've just done a lousy job so far of reaching our potential in that way. And so I think it's the most important thing.
And it remains part of your life.
Oh, absolutely. Every day. I meditate every day. Yeah. And there are many millions of people to do, but I don't know. It has influenced my thinking, and I've always been into philosophy. I was very well read when I was a kid. I was the most well-read kid in my grade school, junior high, and high school. And I loved literature. That's why I guess became a lyricist. I love poetry and I love languages. I learned some Spanish because we grew up in Southern California. My son Brian is fluent in French and Spanish. In fact, when we did All the Love in Paris, this love song on my album, I said, hey, Brian, how do you say all the love in French? Tout l'amour. How do you say all the love in Paris? Tout l'amour à Paris. Okay, let's do it. And so tonight we're going to be doing that at our listening party that we're going to have, and it's on the album.
More to look forward to. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Mike Love. Unleash the Love is out in the world now, and we'll see you all soon.
Thank you.